So if you look behind me, we have a little micro garden with a papaya and some avocados, but you can see it's overgrown in cowpea, a cover crop, which we'll use for mulch. So we'll cut it down and use it for mulch. And if you look over here, we have fruit trees that are completely covered in cowpea. These fruit trees are completely covered in cowpea. And if you look down the alleyway here, you can see that we have a couple of rows of fruit trees that are covered in cowpea. And when we take a closer look at this, what we discover is a fruit tree. Here's a mango that's 10 months old, and this was in a 6-liter plastic bag, and now it's well branched. It's even flowered, and I had to take the fruit off of it. And behind it is a massive lemongrass, so it takes up that space. And we're going to chop and drop this over the next couple of days and use all this cover crop for mulch. So we'll just do a series of videos, 6, 8, maybe 10 short videos, and show you the processes that we're using on this property. This is a 1-acre project with different soil amendment techniques, using cover cropping, using compost teas as a plant and soil probiotic, and using plants in mutualistic relationships with microbes and cover crops. So just follow the clips and you can see how the experiment goes. The reason for this experiment, the primary reason for this experiment, is that we're using it to recover old mining leases. And at the moment we're working in Christmas Island in Western Australia. And this is a technique that we're using in Christmas Island. I'm here in Australia, in New South Wales, Australia, in the semi-tropics, near Iluka. We're only 5 or 6 kilometers straight line to the Pacific Ocean. And keep in touch and have a look at these clips, and you can see how we can fast forward agriculture along with soil recovery, because sustainable agriculture is defined as our ability to build soil fertility as we advance production. So that's the essence of the system. Thanks. There's a mango tree in all this cover crop. We're going to do a chop and drop, because what we're doing is we're growing our own mulch. And not only are we growing our own mulch, but we're growing our own biomass, so it builds the organic matter in the soil, in the root system and in the mulch. So the root system is very important. This is a legume, so it releases nitrogen, it supports microbiology, etc. And we're putting in an association with mango to protect the mango, to give the mango a growing guild. So it's not just growing on its own, which I don't believe plants like growing on their own. And we have lemongrass in the background, so we have a bit going on here. So we'll just do a chop and drop here and show you how we use it to grow mulch. So I'm just going to get in here with a sharp pair of pruning shears. These are Felcos, these are very good, and we'll see what we can actually get done. It doesn't take really that much to do a chop and drop. It'll take me 10 minutes to do this one. Mostly what you're trying to do is find the primary root of the cowpea and cut it and just pull it out and use it as a mulch. So here we go, and it's not that difficult. So as you can see, as you can see here, it only takes a minute or two, and we get a fair amount of mulch that we can just put around the tree. So we'll come back to that so we don't use up all our video time, and it'll take me 10 minutes probably maximum to finish this up, and we'll show you what it looks like. Thanks. Okay, a minute ago, well actually 5 minutes ago, this was all cowpea and lemongrass. It had completely covered the mango. This mango is about a year old, probably not quite. It was a single whip with no branching when we got it in the 6-liter pot, and now it's a developed plant, and I consider this an established tree now that it's got the strength in its stem. It's got a good 30 mil stem on it now, maybe 40 mil stem at the base, no longer needs a stake. It'll do just fine. And all the cowpea is now a 400 millimeter deep mulch, so we've grown our own mulch. We've improved the soil dramatically from basically gray clay to a nice structured soil. We got earthworms in it, and it's very friable. So we use this as a soil building technique, and at the same time we're establishing the fruit trees. We use a half cubic meter of bio-vital compost. The area of the planting is 1.5 cubic meters, so 1/3 of that 1.5 cubic meter area that we're planting a fruit tree in is compost. So that means we haven't watered this, we haven't cared for it, we just let it overgrow and go for it. We actually did water it once in a very dry, hot time. So just be aware that this is a self-managing system. It's a self-managing system. We don't have to bring in any imports. The legume builds the soil, the microbes build the soil, the fruit tree competes with the legume very successfully. And if we go down here, we have the same thing. We just cut down all the cowpea. This was completely covering the mango, and now we're mulching it. We're mulching the mango with the cowpea. And remember, the roots are still in the soil. Some of them may resprout. We'll just cut them back again, make more mulch, and some of them will die and release the nutrients. We feed the microbes. So we have the association of organic matter, the mulch, the microorganisms, the compost tea as a plant and soil probiotic, the compost as a medium for growing beneficial microbes, and of course we have our productive plants. These mangoes will double in size this year, so be aware of that. This is what we call the winter. It's now 20 degrees Celsius, so we can hardly call it winter, but it's the semi-tropics of New South Wales, Australia. So here we have it, and it's a very viable model for Christmas Island, Western Australia, because the cost of bringing in anything is so high. And if we can produce all our mulches and build our soils by using natural processes with microbes, minerals, organic matter, and plants, we'll succeed restoring an old mining lease. Thanks. Now, even for me, this is a little bit ridiculous. Somewhere's in here is an avocado, okay? I haven't tended this in probably 3 months. So you can just see that the cowpea's taken over. This avocado was a whip 5 months ago. It wasn't a developed tree at all. In fact, the graft hadn't even healed. So let's just have a look and see what's in here. And see how, well, fortunately, there is still an avocado in here. And not only is there an avocado in here, but it's a well-developed avocado. The avocado in the food forest is much smaller, so this is done very, very well. But the avocado in the food forest is a bit older, and one of the avocados in the food forest, I actually had to pick the avocados off of it because it was actually bearing avocados, so that's a bit too young. But you can see that when we chop and drop all this and make the mulch, we're going to expose quite a nice little avocado tree, a well-developed avocado tree that's only 5 or 6 months old. So this is not a bad system because the avocado is competing with the cowpea to stick its new growth out to get sun and thrive and survive. And it's got a very strong trunk because it's had to compete with the massive impact of the quite heavy cowpea. So when we take this apart, we'll show you what the finished product looks like. And thank God there's still an avocado here. Actually, much to my surprise, it's thriving and surviving. Thanks. I'm Paul Taylor from Trust Nature. So look at the website, trustnature.com.au. Now, what we've done, this avocado was completely buried by vines, by cowpea, 15 minutes ago. That cowpea now has been cut down with a very sharp pruning shears. These are Felcos. These are industrial strength pruning shears. And now that cowpea has become a mulch. So 15 minutes ago, this avocado was completely covered, just like this one, There's an avocado in here as well, and you can just see the tip of it competing with the cowpea. So at Trust Nature, we are always looking to mimic natural processes to save time and money and to advance and fast forward production. So this is mimicking what happens in a forest when a big tree falls, the nutrients released, the sun comes in, vines, shrubs, trees all compete for that light and nutrient rampantly. And you get things that don't look that dissimilar to this, with trees pushing up amongst it. And then eventually, and usually the trees win, sometimes the vines win, but this mimics that process. So we're causing rampant competition, and we're creating terrific biomass, and we're building soil fertility, and we're feeding a massive range of soil microbiology. And remember, these mounds are about 1.5 cubic meters of soil, and 30% of that, a half a cubic meter of each mound, is bio-vital compost, and then we mulch it with wood chips and plant it, but just by scattering seed for the cowpea before we put the wood chips down and the cowpea comes up. So what we're going to do is walk up through this row of trees, and this row of trees looked like this an hour ago, and all the fruit trees were completely covered with the cowpea. But now you can see that here, we have a mango that was completely buried, and it's throwing new growth. So that's a great thing. And the nitrogen and nutrients will be released from the cowpea, which is now mulch, and we'll get a big flush of growth in the next couple of months. If we look at this mango, this was pretty overwhelmed by the cowpea. It was a little bit overly buried because I haven't tended it in a couple of months. But it's flowering. It's actually flowering out of season, but we'll see how that develops. So come on up and we'll just show you the plants we've just uncovered. We've been here a little bit less than an hour, and we've uncovered this. We have lemongrass, we have another mango. We had some ornamentals in 4-inch pots. I just put them in here because I didn't know what to do with them. Now they're growing pretty rampantly. Here's another mango. This is pretty well established. That'll throw new shoots. It is throwing new shoots. Now these mangoes were just whips a few months ago, so they've competed really well with the vine, with this rampant cover crop. This is a very well developed mango. I like the development of that one. And I've already had to pick fruit off of these mangoes because they're too young to bear fruit. And come on up here. That's a lemongrass going crazy. Here we have another mango. But look at the amount of mulch we harvested. We didn't have to bring anything in. We didn't have to buy anything. The legume cowpea is releasing nutrients as we cut it out. And of course the mulch is protecting and warming the soil in cold weather and cooling the soil in hot weather, so it manages soil temperature. But this is a great shaped mango. It's a 20 or 30 millimeter diameter, 30 millimeter diameter trunk, maybe a bit more at the base. Here we have a bamboo. It's gone crazy, but that was in a 10-inch pot. Oh, it's almost a year old now, but you can see it's rampant. And behind us we have papaya and a micro garden with eggplant, avocados, papaya, etc. So it gives you an idea of what we can do by using low cost systems by relying on natural process. Look at this. Is a great sign that we have mushrooms growing, because mushrooms breathe oxygen, and it shows that we're starting to get soil structure, and we're getting a few varieties of mushrooms coming up now, which is a terrific thing. But if you look down this row and look at how much the cowpea has taken over as a cover crop, and then how much mulch we've been able to create by chopping and dropping just in the last hour, and the ability for the fruit trees to compete successfully with the rampant cover crop, just like a forest system would compete if a big tree fell in a forest, and all the weeds and trees and vines and everything would compete for space and nutrients. And then of course we get to select what we want as a productive plant, because that's what agriculture does, and in this case we're selecting for a row of fruit trees. Thanks.